Hello, I'm Professor Toybox. I've got Lightning McQueen with me, and today I'm going to finish the build exercise for my Agrabah Desert toy box. But first, I want to see how long it takes for Lightning McQueen to race from one end of this toy box to the other. It's such a long toy box, and I thought this might be kind of fun. So, on your mark, get set, go! Gonna have to do some jumps. Whoa! Feel like I'm out of control. Yeah, that was a little longer than I thought it was going to be. But that was a lot of fun. All right. Well, I guess it's time to get down to business. So we'll go ahead and start with the Outpost that's up over here on the right. And my inspiration for this outpost came from the old black and white films and some old cartoons that featured the French Foreign Legion. Every one of them took place in a desert, and they all showed some kind of outpost that they were either invading or defending. It made sense to me that the Sultan might have an outpost or two set up around the desert to guard against invaders, so that's what I'm building. And I think I want the decorative side out on that, so we'll put that over there. And then a couple more wall sections. And then this Agrabah Citadel. We'll put this over here like that. That way we can see the door. And we should have a little tower of some kind up here. Let's see. There we go. Let's use this piece for the wall. So I'm going to put this right here. And again, this piece next to it with the decorative side out. Another little section of wall here. And I'm using this curved one just because there isn't another one that's really that same height that looks decent. That one's got that little edge on it that just makes it look kind of strange. So I don't really want to use that. But the curved piece should look okay from the outside. And of course the doors should be facing on the inside because that's not going to be very secure if the doors are facing the other way. Another little tower over here with a door on it. And then down here, I think we should have it so that that window is visible. Either that or it's got to be covered up all the way. And I think I like it better that way. And we're just kind of building a little wall around this with some buildings. Nothing too fancy. It's just an outpost. It's not a city or anything, so. And this one should sit actually, let's go ahead and take that back out because that's sitting over too far. So we'll put that one there like that. And then for this one, let's do another one of these. I kind of like that. That one that way. We'll put one over here. And let's see, can we stick a wall between it? It's pretty close. Pretty close. I think we can finagle this a little bit. There we go. And then, yeah, that actually doesn't look too bad because the front of that lines up with that gate. So that looks pretty good. All right, and then we'll put in a few little market stalls in here just for some color and decoration. So we'll put this one over in this corner like this. And we'll put one on the other side as well. And this one we can put that over here. And one more just for something different. So this would be where the desert dwellers kind of bring their produce maybe. So that looks pretty good. And then in a later video I'll put the well down in the middle. And we should probably put a few little plants around here. We don't need too many. Let's come down to the plants drawer. And we'll use this Fantasy Terrain 3. Alright. And let's move that just a little bit closer. I think that's where I had it before. And then we'll put a smaller palm over here. So we'll style that one with the palm tree from the Agrabah set. I'll set that to be the theme. So that looks pretty good. And we should have a couple on this side. And let's put it that way. So there's our outpost. Nothing too fancy, but it gives the player someplace interesting to go. Alright, next up we have a couple of oases. Oases? I'm not sure what the proper plural of that is. And you'll find that up under building, or under the set pieces, and reset that on my, I had that drawer set to that piece. So sorry about that, I'll have to scroll a little bit to find it. There we go. And we're going to set this down here on this plateau. Let's see, you can't get too close to that slope. I can't get too close to that one. I think that's probably about the best we'll do. I don't want it hanging over too far on the right because that starts to slope down. And then we've got another oasis out over here that we need to put down. And let's see, how did I have this oriented before? I think I had it this way. Want to leave enough room on the right there for the tents. So I kind of like that. That should work. And then under the decorations drawer we have this tent from the Lone Ranger playset, if I remember correctly. And we'll put down a couple of those. If you've got the memory, you could put down a campfire or something. My memory's looking pretty good, but I haven't put in all the logic or anything yet, so, and we still have a mountain yet to build. Now we'll come back down to the plants drawer. There's a couple more plants I want to put in, and it might be quicker just to get into Spark mode, because over in this corner I had a couple of plants. This kind of adds a little bit of a border to that opening. And you don't need many trees because it is the desert. It's supposed to be empty. There's not going to be a lot here. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and build the mountain now. And the mountain is going to sit right in here on this section. And give me a second here to pull up my screenshot. Okay, so come down to the terrain drawer, and we're going to start with this canyon curve. And I'm going to come to the back corner of this large piece here. We're going to put this in here like this. I'm going to line it up with the front edge of that block, and we're going to go this way just a little bit. That'll help cover up that long seam there. So we'll put that in there. And then I'm going to put a little narrow canyon wall in here, like that. And then this large canyon curve on the front of that. And I'm using different shapes here for the curves so that it doesn't look symmetrical. You don't want this to look so predictable that it doesn't look realistic. So that's why we're doing that. And then I'm going to pick up this block underneath and put it back down, which gets me back to the square blocks. And I'm going to grab this 3x6. We're going to put this right up here on the corner of that block. Actually right there. And I don't need a block under it because that'll be completely covered up. But we're going to go 3 over. And we do need a block under these two, or we'll have a gap. And whoops, before we go back to the other part of the drawer, we're also going to need a couple of other blocks down here. So I'm going to tuck one in the corner and another one next to it. And again, I could just use a bunch of these and rotate them, but then you're going to have a very round mountain that just doesn't look normal or natural. And I kind of want it to look a little bit more random, kind of like nature actually does. So that sits right in there like that. So that's good. And then I'm going to pick up one of these and put that here. Put another short canyon curve right up next to that. And you might be wondering why I'm using the shorter cliff pieces on this side and the taller ones on the other, and you'll see why I'm doing that in a moment. Let's see, come back over and pick up a couple of these. And by the way, I am following a screenshot, so I've already built this once before and experimented with this and got all these blocks to line up the way I did. So it looks like from your standpoint that I'm just whipping this together, but that's not actually the case. Okay, so that plugs that little gap. And I think we got all the square pieces in here, so let's go ahead and put the rest of the canyon pieces in. And so we're going to start with these taller ones back here. And this should sit right up against those blocks and right there. And you can see that gap under there is going to be covered up on this side and there as well. And on this end, we've still got a gap underneath here, but I'm about to cover that up with this piece. So we'll stick that in there, and then we'll put a couple of these on, like that. And now that doesn't look square. That looks a little better, I think. Alright, and then we'll grab the next size larger, and we're going to come around over here, and I want to line up the edge of this just like that. And now we're building this upward, as you can see. But it has a different shape than what's below it. So the layers here kind of give it a look that's a little bit more natural and interesting, I think. And so that looks kind of nice. A little more unusual. And then up here, we'll add a peak. And for this, let's see, we're going to use this piece. I'm going to line this up with that seam on the left and bring it over this way as far as I can. And then we'll rotate those. And again, I don't want to get too predictable and do that, so let's use this small canyon curve, and that kind of creates a little stick of rock that sticks up like that, like you sometimes see out in the western states. And I'm going to leave a gap there, and that's going to drive some of you crazy while I'm going to the left and looking for the piece that I want to put in here. Okay, so the first piece we come across is this ramp cliff, and we're going to use this on the front to get up to that plateau. And we'll put it over there as far to the right as we can, and that creates a nice little ramp that gets us up there. Oh, and while we're right here, in this little canyon, there's these seams that are down there that are kind of ugly. So I want to cover those up a little bit. And so I'm going to put one of these over here. I'm going to put one of those over there. And then we can put this small cliff edge on the front so it doesn't look quite so square. Like that. And that helps cover that seam up a little bit. I can't come too much further forward because it's going to run into this piece. But that helps make it so it's not quite as noticeable, and this edge here isn't quite as abrupt, having that sharp edge there. So I think that softens it a little bit. Okay, and then we'll keep on scrolling left in the drawer, and I'm looking for this piece. And I'm going to use this one as a way to get up on top of that little peak. So we'll stick that in there. That's the same height as those canyon curves. And that fits in there kind of nice. So to me that looks kind of natural. I like that. And then for a way to climb up there, we're going to put down a couple of these. We'll put one like that, and we'll rotate it and put one like that. So you can ride your horse up the ramp, and then you'll have to dismount and climb up to get up here on top. And then over here, we're going to need, let's pick this up, put it down. We're going to need a couple of little blocks to plug that gap. Like that. And then we'll scroll to the right. I'm looking for the mountain peaks, because there's some interesting shapes here that are kind of fun. This one's a little bit large, but that could almost work. There's this one, which again could work. I'm actually going to use this one because I kind of like the looks of that. But it's your toy box, your mountain. You build it how you want. There we go. And that gives the player some place to explore. And you don't necessarily need this mountain. Again, if you're on one of the systems that has even less memory than the Wii U, you can skip that. But it gives the player some additional places to explore in this toy box. And it is a desert, so you don't want to add a lot of buildings or plants or people. But you got to give the player something to do and some place to go. You don't want to leave this all completely open and empty. So that's a good thing to put some mountains in there. It kind of fits with the environment. Then you can hide some chests or treasures or something there. All right, we're almost there. The last thing we're going to need are some sand dunes, because there's a couple of places here in the desert, this being one of them, which is just flat and bare and boring. And so we're going to put some sand dunes in here. And again, with the sand dunes, my preference is to use these to cover up some of the seams. And you also want to be careful not to rotate these things in all different kind of crazy directions, because usually the wind blows out of one direction. And so the sand dunes usually have the same kind of shape, same kind of direction. It's not always true, but usually. So we'll put a few of these around here just to kind of add some shape to this. Now when we get over here, I want the Cave of Wonders to be directly straight ahead out of that canyon. So that's going to sit about here, which means I don't want a sand dune sitting in this line. So we're going to put one over here, kind of out of the way off to the side. And another one over this way. Same kind of thing, off to the side. So there, that looks a little bit more interesting. It's not quite so flat. And we'll dump something up here. If you're on one of the systems that has more memory, you can put another mountain up here. That would be nice. Or you could even put another outpost up there if you wanted. But I wouldn't go crazy with the outposts, because again, this is the desert. It should be mostly empty. We'll put one of these out over here, because this is kind of looking a little flat. Oops, too far. So we'll put this one here. And I'm kind of putting this one here just to give the player something to have to go around when they're chasing the scarab. So I also had a whirlwind going around this in the playthrough video earlier. And then up here we're going to put some sand dunes on either side of the entrance. And let's put one down here. We don't want to line these things up and make them too symmetrical. That just wouldn't look realistic. I think that's okay. I don't think that'll be sticking off the end of the map there. If it is, it shouldn't be too noticeable. Alright, let's put this one over here like that. Another one over here. And one more out there. And now that's not quite as flat. It's got a little bit of contour and shape to it. And there we are. That looks pretty good, and it has a bit of a natural look to it, so I like that. And with that, the build exercise for this toy box is done. Next time, I'll show you how to build the scarab chase and how to make the Cave of Wonders rise up out of the desert at the end. Until then, I want to thank you for watching, and thank you to all of my subscribers and followers for your encouraging comments and emails. I put a lot of effort into these Aladdin toy boxes over the past 2 years, and I'm glad to hear you're enjoying this series so far. If you're not a subscriber yet, all you need to do is click my photo in the lower right corner of this video or the follow button on my blog, and then you won't miss a single episode. For now, Lightning McQueen and I are signing off, and I'll see you next time.